It is a roads report the city of Cleveland told us was accurate. City leaders even delayed its release for months because they wanted to get it right. They finally gave us that report last week.
And the On Your Side investigators are already finding problems. After debunking a street conditions report that was released in 2009, investigator Jonathan Walsh has questions about this new one.
We randomly chose 5 streets of the 89 roads rated a perfect 100 in the study. And look at this. Wayne Court from East 103rd Street to 105th. Cracks all over the place, mud everywhere, and potholes from the small to not so small and the ridiculous. This is supposed to be a 100 rated road, but I can lay down in this pothole. Does this look like a perfect street to you?
Definitely not 100. It's closer to about a 0.
Aisha Poss works in this neighborhood. I told her the city hired an engineering firm for $600,000 to grade all of Cleveland's streets. When she sees Wayne Court's rating, what goes through your mind?
Tax dollars being wasted or not used properly.
More problems on the east side, this time East 17th from Walnut to Payne, rated 100, but just take a look at all the cracks, bumps, and utility cuts throughout this stretch of street that's supposed to be an A+. Try telling that to Clevelanders.
I would give this street maybe a 60.
What do you think when the city says this is a perfect 100?
Well, I'm 6'6", and you have a lot of hair, so... I don't know.
It's a complete lie.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's a stretch, to say the least.
Do you find some irony that it's right next to a Conrad's?
No, that's a good one. Yeah.
It's good for business, huh?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Meanwhile, on the west side, Tyler Avenue gets a 100 rating from West 130th all the way to West 130th. There's a whopping 20-foot bleed from the paving of 130th. Did they grade this? That looks real good. And speaking of bleeds, in the top 5 worst-rated streets, we found Bates Avenue from East 77th to 78th is an extension of an old parking lot. It's blocked off by barriers and has no semblance of a street, much less an avenue, but engineers spent time grading it. It's all enough for Clevelanders to send a message to the street evaluators.
And if you're going to grade it, make sure that it's up to par and that it meets the standard that you say that it's at.
I'm On Your Side investigator Jonathan Walsh.
For the past year, we've been warning you about Cleveland's broken roads and the people living on them, failed by a broken system.
It's like we're trying to recreate the wheel, and the wheel's getting broken on streets like that.
After the city's last road report, we learned good roads were getting repaved, while rough roads were left to waste away.
Now Cleveland is trying again.
I expect it to be a lot different than before.
More D's and F's getting done than A, B's, and C's.
Yes, that's right.
But we've already found a lot of problems with the new roads report. And yet...
So you're not disappointed with some of the mistakes that Baker has presented?
No, sir. No, sir.
On Your Side investigators have been holding Cleveland city leaders accountable for that fundamentally flawed road repair system.
And today we press them for even more answers tonight after a big announcement by the city. On Your Side investigator Jonathan Walsh joins us live tonight. And Jonathan, East 102nd is the first residential street on that list.
Yeah, it's the first one out of dozens scheduled for 2017. We don't have a finalized list. We won't see that until next Friday, we're told by the city. But we are still trying to get answers to basic problems that we have uncovered about the way these streets were graded in the first place.
Those streets that we have chosen to do this year are rated F. That's a pavement condition rating.
Public Works Director Michael Cox is talking about the most recent report from Michael Baker International that graded Cleveland streets. He told me the city put together a list of streets for repaving based on that report and what city crews saw driving the roads. The streets in the running for resurfacing, how do they compare to the suggested streets that Baker International gave you?
There may be a little difference. There may be some.
And why is that?
Heaven only knows. The machine.
Heaven only knows. You are charged with that.
The machine picks up what they pick up. What I do know that is nothing better than an on-site, and we do that.
We have found problems with that so-called machine and what it picked up or didn't pick up for that matter. In February, we showed you several questionable perfect 100 rated streets by Baker International, like Wayne Court.
That street, as I found out, was not even looked at.
So, a company the city paid with your taxpayer money, a total of $600,000 to grade all the streets, did not look at the street, but still gave it a 100.
We have refined what they've done, which is a natural thing to do. So we are working on all the F streets.
Is it natural to put 100 down when you didn't even look at it, though?
Well, that was explained to us that they put the 100 down. We knew it was an alley. We knew we had to go back out. It was what they did. Is I will get more explanation for it. But that street, when I saw that street on your broadcast, it's not a street that we would do.
You as a taxpayer have to decide if that's all right with you. So you're not disappointed with some of the mistakes that Baker has presented?
No, sir. No, sir.
This year, 95 streets total, 83 of them residential, will be resurfaced and repaired. Mayor Jackson and Public Works Director Michael Cox told us the worst streets will get attention.
In every ward, you may have a certain number of F streets.
So the F streets will be done.
The F streets are what we intend to do in each ward. Yes.
Because in the past we have shown that that's not the case.
Well, in the past, as I said, when there was a different process, you're right.
The current pavement management study has problems too. Our report in February showed several examples of ridiculous ratings. This street is a 100. Mayor Jackson told us that we haven't done enough. These were the first ones we even came across. We didn't even search.
Well, maybe you should search a little bit more, and you might find more, and then you can give it to me, and then I'll handle it.
I have given them to your press folks.
We'll follow up on it.
But I haven't heard back. This has been now a month or two now that this.
Now, anybody else got questions in regards to this?
He wants News 5 to find more problems with the city's approved study? Well, then Mayor Jackson told us this.
If you notice things, we're trying to do this and do it right. We appreciate it if you give us information, and then we'll follow up on it.
We have been in constant contact with your press office and relaying some of the concerns that our viewers have. So it's not a matter of us not getting a hold of you. Actually, we're waiting to hear a response from the city to a number of the issues that we've brought up.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, too.
And still, no response to our questions on that report.
On your site, investigator Jonathan Walsh accepted the mayor's challenge and wait until you see what he found.
When starting out on the mayor's challenge, we once again looked at all the streets rated 100 from the pavement management study. And once again, on the first stop we made, we found this problem. Does this look like a 100 rated street to you? This is the beginning of Scranton Road to Carter Road, a perfect section of street according to the pavement management study that was released just months ago. But we found cracks, rough patches, and areas nowhere near perfect. This is the second street we looked into. Now, mind you, we are randomly choosing streets rated 100. We have no idea what we're going to find. But we found this. They rated it a perfect 100.
They rated the condition of the road?
Yeah.
No, that's an egregious statement to make.
We interviewed Amy Bednar on the so-called perfectly rated section of street of Scranton from Fairfield to Train. Look at all these bumps, bruises, and cracks throughout. Amy had a message for Mayor Jackson.
The mayor can actually be my passenger. We could take a trip down Scranton Road and see what it's like to have to dodge the potholes over here.
The next street was Roxborough. We found it has overlapping grades. From West 146 to Warren, it's a C. But then the study gives it a grade of 100 from Warren all the way to Warren, 20 feet worth of road. That sounds familiar. Oh yeah, from our first report debunking the study. Tyler Avenue gets a 100 rating from West 130th all the way to West 130th. And finally, the 4th and 5th streets we checked out, Rodman from Rugby to Coit and from Rugby to Earlwood. That is newly paved, but neighbors told me they don't understand it.
I don't really like it though. I still don't like it.
It's an alley with few homes on it. More traveled roads that cross that alley like Earlwood right next to the paving is bad. Rugby with many homes feet away from Rodman is worse. And look at Coit. Drivers say that is a disaster.
Dodging holes here, holes there. And eventually it's going to be a bad accident because somebody trying to dodge the holes.
So keep your eyes on News 5. We will be finding more examples of questionable ratings and letting the mayor know about them. So the F streets will be done.
F streets are what we intend to do in each ward.
That was Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson just weeks ago. Why then, just this week, 2 out of the 4 streets announced for repaving, Grovewood and Hillgrove, are actually rated Ds according to the pavement management study released this year.
We have what we believe to be an objective process with a pavement management study.
This isn't nowhere near one of the worst streets around here.
Damon Johnson told me he's lived around Hillgrove for years and he's seen worse roads. So he doesn't understand why Hillgrove was chosen, and he lives in the neighborhood.
I just think it's, it should be some type of better selection process on which ones get done first.
Just 15 minutes away from Hillgrove is Morgan Avenue. That's actually rated an F. No work signs here.
That's a good one. Yeah, if you can figure that out, you got it made.
And there's Union Avenue, complete with metal plate, from East 133rd to East 138th. Also an F, and much more heavily traveled. What do you think about the condition of this street?
Poor. Bad.
Mike Milton owns Mike's Car Care on the roughed up Union Avenue. He told me he works on cars that have had damage from that rocky road.
Some of them be dodging chuck holes and have an accident.
Even though ripped up roads are good for business, Mike had a message for the city.
The guys don't want to fix it. I'm going to keep repairing these people's cars.
He's confused, like others, especially after the public works director that oversees street repaving has said this.
Those streets that we have chosen to do this year are rated F. That's a pavement condition rating.
I'm On Your Side investigator Jonathan Walsh.
There are major issues with not only how Cleveland repairs your roads, but how it tracks the maintenance. And 5 On Your Side investigator Jonathan Walsh learned it doesn't get any better when it comes to tracking pothole complaints.
It reverberated, the whole bridge shook. I mean, it was a huge hole.
Jason Meaner, former Uber driver, hit a pothole on the Detroit Superior Bridge. He asked the city of Cleveland for nearly $2,300 for the repairs. The city said no.
It was rough. That was my means of income at the time. You know, I was driving for Uber to make extra money.
In the denial form letter, they said they had no knowledge of the pothole before Jason hit it. And that's the way it goes. In order to pay for damages from a pothole, the city says it has to know about the pothole prior to you hitting it. So that means you have to pray that your neighbor has suffered first. Well, your neighbors have been reporting the rim rattlers. Hundreds of claims we dug into filed during a 1.5-year time frame, and some beyond that.
You can see that there has been damage to it.
In the sea of reports, we found the city of Cleveland did not pay on 81% of the claims. A few of the potholes were not in city limits. The overwhelming majority, though, no knowledge. But we found,
when you see that it's happened so many times,
well, maybe they did know about Jason's.
I don't see how something like that could happen overnight.
In fact, our research shows the Detroit Superior Bridge, where Jason hit that pothole, is a problem spot. We found 28 pothole claims for that bridge, and 4 of those claims came before Jason's. Not one was paid. We uncovered other examples, people just like Jason doing everything they could to inform the city and you about potholes. Claims included pictures that show large, cavernous holes, actual measurements, some with rebar and bricks exposed. Rocky River Drive near Lorraine, 5 people filing claims, same area. Ridge Road and 480, 2 people, same area. Fulton Road, 2 people reporting the same address within 2 days of each other. 2 more people on Fulton, same area. All of them denied. No payouts because the city claims it didn't know. But how could they not have known? Well, that remains a mystery. You see, the city's law department that makes decisions on payouts is sealed up, won't go on camera. We had to track down Mayor Frank Jackson. Is it surprising, though, that 80% of the pothole claims, the city is saying we didn't know about them?
I don't know if it's surprising or not. I know that we don't know every pothole that exists.
Remember Jason? It appears they knew about his problem spot.
We know there are quite a few of them out there.
Yeah, and they're deep and causing damage. Geraldine Nygren was on the go.
It was horrifying.
Until she hit a massive hole.
It was a miracle that I did not fall. I would have been upward.
On West 122nd last year.
I almost felt like I hit one of those recyclable garbage cans that was full of cement.
She wanted money for being banged up, fixing her car, and losing wages. The city denied her claim.
And I was like, you don't have enough proof. I gave you a picture of this hole that is as wide as my car, is almost as tall as I am.
But even if she did get paid,
it was very frustrating.
We found people don't always get what they ask for. Take Mario Edwards. He's one of the lucky ones. He got $500, but he told me the pothole damage completely wrecked his car, and it was worth more than $500.
It's really crazy, you know what I mean? It's just really shocking the way they do people.
And what they do is all over the place. We saw these payments given by the city. Driver asking for $867.53 got $218.25. Another driver asked for $824.49 and got $484.34. Even one guy asked for $125 and got $124.20. One of the major problems with the city knowing about potholes is that there were so many ways to report them. Dialing 311, calling the mayor's action line, reporting it on the city's website, calling council members. There was no centralized location funneling all of these different complaints into one box. That is about to change.
CityWorks has probably been in as a work management system for 3 or 4 years in utilities.
Cleveland's chief operating officer Darnell Brown says for the first time ever, this season the city is using tracking software called CityWorks to help with pothole registering.
One of the advantages of the CityWorks application is it is accessible in the call center. It is available at the Division of Streets. The Mayor's Action Center will have access to CityWorks, so it would all be going into a central repository for information.
Cleveland has been dealing with potholes for decades. Prior to this season, Chief Brown says pothole info would go into different databases. Now, with this new management system,
generally you get a significant increase in production, performance, and efficiency, anywhere from 15 to 25%.
The system should help the city be more informed about the existing potholes out there, something that could have benefited Jason and Geraldine.
What proof do I have that that no one did report that pothole? I don't know for sure, you know, I mean, it's their word against yours.
Till this day, I really don't have much respect or believe in the city after that incident right there.
My family moved here in 1947.
Terry McNeil has his roots in Cleveland. He just wishes his street didn't look like roots were growing underneath it.
The idea is just to get the neighborhood 100%.
Terry told me he's been gathering up research on better street repairs, going to public meetings like this one, and reaching out to city leaders to get more streets done in a better way.
Of course, I went through the proper channels because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but that didn't work.
That meeting he went to voice his concerns about streets, his councilman, T.J. Dow, never showed up. We reached out to Councilman Dow on several occasions. He did not respond to our requests for comment. Terry doesn't let it stop him. In fact, he started this Facebook page, Fix Our Streets 216, which now has more than 1,400 likes from people who share Terry's frustration with the city. He has a Twitter account with the same name. Fed up with the lack of city response, and after following News 5's ongoing investigation, he contacted us.
I'm mad about it for the simple reason that, you know, public officials come on TV and they do the song and dance about how much they're doing.
Eager to tell city leaders about his research and bad streets, just like his own, complete with metal plate, Terry took to Twitter, tweeting at Mayor Frank Jackson. The mayor's response? Well, he blocked Terry, not once, but on 2 Twitter accounts.
I took it as a cop-out, is what I took it as, because all he had to do was reply. I mean, it's not like I was belligerent or causing trouble. I'm uploading pictures and videos of the street, what I see every day.
The root of Terry's passion comes from a promise he made a day before his grandfather died.
That conversation was about fixing the house and fixing the neighborhood, because he knew that I knew how to get it done.
When starting out, remember this, issues with the initial road we checked after Mayor Frank Jackson's challenge. On the first stop we made, we found this problem. So the city is making some progress. It wasn't the first random street this time around that we found problems with. It was the second. And this, folks, is a perfect street according to the city of Cleveland. The city's commission report says Otter Avenue on the east side is a 100. However, otters could probably go swimming in the pools created by the potholes.
Well, I almost lost a tire.
Mark White works right beside Otter, drives it frequently, can't believe it's a perfect street. How do you feel about taxpayer money going towards a study that isn't correct?
Well, this won't be the first time taxpayer money went to something that isn't correct.
It's not a perfect street. They haven't been here to pave it or anything. They just fill cracks.
Tim Holt is angry about his street, East 123rd, from Iowa to Taft. Rated 100, but it has too many problems to even mention.
It makes no sense. They should be doing their dang on job. And then when we hit the chuck holes and everything else, they won't fix it.
The big problem is when it's time to review what streets need to be repaved, a road already rated 100 will get passed over.
Look for yourself. It's nothing but patches everywhere, all down the daggone street.
East 84th to the end, a 100 grade on the pavement management study done by Baker International. But look at the numerous problems, including a sewer grate filled with asphalt.
It's unfortunate again and again and again.
Get on the ball, do your job. Do your job. You collect the money. What you doing with it?
You've been asking us when your streets will be done.
Every year, actually, it gets worse.
So we asked for the entire list of streets that will be repaved in 2017.
We're going to finalize that list on Friday, a week from now.
That list should have been out the second week of May. Never happened. We have hounded the city for you with countless emails, phone calls, and personal visits to City Hall. Emails from May 12th asking Mayor Jackson's communications director, Dan Williams, to provide the list. May 16th, May 18th, May 24th, nothing. June 18th, June 22nd, we emphasized how our audience has reached out to us, wanting to know what next streets will be done and if their street is on the list.
It's like going on a roller coaster.
July 24th and 2 more in August. All of this while the city paves streets. Finally, this week, Mayor Jackson's office sent this, a link to the city's blog where they published the list 3 months late, and they shot a video response to my questions.
This year's program has been increased.
We were not afforded the opportunity to ask the questions you want answered.
I'm saying it could use a little improvement.
Our ongoing investigation has found numerous proven problems with the way Cleveland paves and maintains roads.
Paving the roads is one of the basic functions of the city.
Dr. Carrie Buchanan from John Carroll University is the Cleveland chapter president of the Society of Professional Journalists.
They chose where it was going to be filmed, what questions were going to be asked, and that really negates that watchdog role that the media have.
Of course, one of the main reasons to repave a road is to smooth out the rough patches. But Dr. Buchanan says when governments use these non-communications tactics, it doesn't make anything smooth, especially for you.
I really think that this is an example of somebody trying to thwart proper and careful coverage.
We asked for an on-camera interview with Assistant Director of Public Works Randy Scott. The mayor's office ignored that request, too.
After our requests for an interview were repeatedly denied, 5-year site investigator Jonathan Walsh finally caught up with Mayor Frank Jackson.
Believe it or not, once again, on the very first street we're checking, this is Star Avenue, we're finding problems with the city of Cleveland following its own strategy. They say they're doing the absolute worst streets first, but even the people who live on this street say it shouldn't be on the list. Is this one of the worst streets in Cleveland?
It's not one of the worst streets in Cleveland.
Antoinette Carter lives on Star Avenue, can't understand why money's being wasted repaving her street.
It bothers me that we pay taxes and you don't really see your resources. You don't see your money.
Take a look for yourself. Is this worse than the nearby Western Avenue, which continues to see no work crews? And how about Zoder Avenue, which is on the list to be repaved?
There's much worse streets than this.
Ronnie Green, another resident, doesn't get the street selection process. City leaders say they ride the streets evaluating roads for resurfacing.
They said they drive around, you couldn't have to pick a street like this first.
When we've tried to get interviews with Mayor Frank Jackson, the communications department says no. but we don't take no for an answer. We've made several attempts to talk to you on camera about this process.
Well, and I'm saying to you, I agree. I think the process is valid. I think the process is working, and I disagree with.
We have proven otherwise, though. I mean, we have numerous examples: East 102nd, East 53rd, East 143rd, Starkweather, Rutledge. I mean, Star, Zoder. I mean, there are many that your constituents are asking, why is my street being done?
Again, I'm glad that they asked that. I'm glad they asked, why is this street? I've never heard a constituent ask, why are you serving me?
You haven't been watching our reports.
Not this one. This shouldn't worry about this one yet. This should be one of the last streets.
I don't see anything wrong with the street.
I have people who can talk to you about your assumptions and your...
It's not an assumption, though. We're proving time and time again.
Again, I have people who deal with those details who can talk to you about that, but
we're not gaining access to those people. Your communications department has denied us several interviews. I have email upon email of them denying us on-camera interviews with anybody.
Why don't you send it again, see if they deny you again.
This isn't even mentioning our recent check of Linwood from 65th to 70th, a street with one pothole. But it was on the list to be repaved. It's enough to make residents upset.
Get it right. Charging us money. Get it right.
When you wanted to be elected, you told us that you would do whatever we needed. Well, we need a lot of stuff. And it's just time to start moving and stop talking about it.
I'm 5 on your side investigator, Jonathan Walsh.
We tracked down Mayor Frank Jackson, asking him questions until he finally said he would make somebody available. Tonight, a new interesting interview with a top city leader. Investigator Jonathan Walsh taking your concerns straight to City Hall.
I have people who deal with those details who can talk to you about that, but
we're not gaining access to those people. That exchange in late October with Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson led to this.
We want our residents to be satisfied with the work that we do.
That's Cleveland's Chief Operating Officer, Darnell Brown. We asked him about our past interviews with people who don't understand.
This isn't nowhere near one of the worst streets around here.
Why their streets that are in good shape,
I don't see what's wrong with it,
are still getting repaved.
This should be one of the last streets.
We've had numerous residents question the selection of the streets. What would you say to those residents?
This is not a methodology that we created. It is a generally accepted practice in the industry.
The city has upped its game on neighborhood streets. A few years ago, they went from $4.4 million a year for repaving to this year's $12 million. But
there are a lot of F streets out there.
Yeah. And you're doing some Ds, you're doing some Cs that are rated PCR.
Well, again, everything we do, if it starts out at F, if it gets substituted for something, we're going out and rating the street.
You see, there was a big study done by engineering firm Baker International that rated the street's conditions. The city claims its worst first strategy put F streets at the top. If City Council wants to do other streets than those suggested by the administration, city crews reevaluate council's selections, claiming that they make sure those streets are F-rated as well.
It's a scientific approach. I trust the science.
I have made a public records request from last July trying to get further sheets like this. Here's the sheet I'm talking about. City streets in Ward 3 that show the pavement condition rating and then the reevaluated ratings by city crews. Some of the ratings drastically drop. One had a 70.5 all the way down to 51.4. That's a big difference from what Baker International initially gave.
It is, and I would be concerned about that, but I will say this.
Chief Brown told me it's normal for a street to deteriorate 3 to 5 points in 1 year, 6 to 10 points in 2 years. There are several examples that it goes beyond that 6 to 10 point range.
And I would be concerned about that, but again, in general, as I said, this is a science.
According to this sheet, the city's science shows drops of 13.5 to 19, even 20 points. After our records request was finally fulfilled months later, we found other re-ratings include one street that dropped 16 points in Ward 12 and 17.5 points in Ward 14. 5 on your side investigators have proven time and time again big problems with the $600,000 original street study, but Chief Brown insists
when we are doing it, the stressors we're looking at, it's got to be an F. We don't make exceptions.
The information we've provided, does that help you reevaluate some of the training or issues that constituents are bringing up?
Jonathan, let me tell you this. Anytime somebody brings something to our attention, yeah, we're going to look at it.
We'll stay on top of it for you. I'm 5 on your side investigator Jonathan Walsh.
It's fascinating stuff, and we have much more of our sit-down conversation with Cleveland's Chief Operating Officer Darnell Brown on our News 5 app.